So the truth is, you don't need years of real estate investing experience. You don't need your own money. You don't need to work your way up through single family homes. It's all a myth, and it's exactly what's holding most people back from even the idea of getting into multifamily. So in this video, I'm going to break those myths down for you and show you how you can overcome them by introducing a new way of thinking, a scaling mindset. And we're going to spend a lot more about the scaling mindset, but I'm going to give you a shot across the bow because there's a whole thing called a scaling mindset that will address these two major myths that, like I said, typically hold most people back. So let's get into it. All right, so at this point, you might be thinking, okay, Michael, I see how multifamily is an incredible strategy to build wealth. But, isn't this kind of an advanced strategy? Like, shouldn't I build up more of a real estate investing experience first, maybe for the next 5 to 10 years? Let me buy a rental for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm going to save my money and then transition to multifamily. Sound reasonable, right? And I hear this all the time, but the truth is you don't need to do that. You don't need years of single family house investing experience. You don't need millions. You don't have to save money to buy real estate. And that same kind of thinking stopped me from getting an apartment sooner. Because remember, I learned about apartments in 2006, but I didn't really get into it until 2011. And I don't want these beliefs about what you think you know about apartments to stop you. Advanced, money, experience, right? And so I want to talk to you here about the two multifamily myths that are probably holding you back from even the idea of scaling with multifamily. So myth number one is that you need years of experience before you get into multifamily, right? And so if you think this, you're going to wait 5 or 10 years. And you're going to probably waste 5 to 10 years doing whatever you want to do. And you don't need to do that because you don't actually need to invest in single family houses at all. Now, if you have done, that's cool. It's no harm, no foul. But you don't have to continue that path. It doesn't buy you anything, right? Now, you might be a bit skeptical about this. So let me start with the problem first. So back in 2006, I had done a couple of flips and I had a rental. Back in 2006. So I took that commercial real estate investing seminar and I started calling these brokers in Texas. And they asked me how many apartments I had. And I said, well, none. But I've done a couple flips and have a rental. And they said, okay, cool. Well, why don't you send me a proof of funds and I'll send you some deals, right? But I didn't have any proof of funds. And so I was stuck. They didn't send me any deals. And what they wanted from me is they wanted an apartment investing track record and I didn't have any, right? And for some reason, I got no credit for my single family house investing at all. Didn't count for not. So how in the world is someone supposed to get an apartment investing track record without a track record, right? And so the way you do it is you don't need to build your own track record. You can borrow it, okay? So here's what I mean. And I'm going to talk about this in later this training. I'm going to talk exactly what the scaling mindset is all about, right? But let me just give you a flavor of what I'm talking about. Let's say and we're going to talk about this later in the training here about building your team. It's one of those things that's different when you're getting into commercial real estate and syndications. But imagine if I recruited a property manager to my team. The company manages 5,000 units, and then I recruited a lender who originated $1 billion in loan last year. Let's say, okay, now, just with that background, I call those brokers again. The conversation now would go a lot differently, right? I'd be like, hey, my name is Michael. I'm working with a bunch of high net worth individuals. I'm working with Sam over at XYZ Property Management Company. And, oh, Sam, yeah, he's a great guy. We did a bunch of business together. Yeah, I'm working with Frank over at XYZ Lending. And, oh, Frank, yeah, we done a bunch of business together. And now all of a sudden the conversation is not about you at all. It's about your team and their collective track record. So the lesson is this. It doesn't matter what you have or don't have. All that matters is the team you build and then you leverage your track record. So you don't have to invest in single family houses for the next 5 to 10 years. You can build your team in about 30 days and start speaking with brokers and investors with confidence. And that's really the secret to getting into business right now and not in 5 to 10 years. So building a team is the key to scaling. Now you're going to see this theme of building a team throughout this training because it's the one thing that makes scaling with syndications different than single family house investing. So we're going to spend a lot of time addressing this idea of lack of experience and building a team to overcome that. So in later parts of this training, right? So all I'm saying here right now is you don't need to build 5 or 10 years of experience because there's other ways we can address it and we can do it in 30 days. And this is an example of David Kamara, okay? He was a highly paid management consultant and he needed to travel every week and spend a lot of time away from his family. And when his fourth daughter was born, he vowed that he wanted to stop traveling and spend more time with his family. So he was like, how do I do it? And he thought about investing in single family homes, but he was smarter than I was and decided he would skip all that stuff because it would take too long. Now he did not have a multifamily track record. So he actually skipped the single family house investing, which you can do as well. And he started working with us, and he closed 3 syndications in his first year of working with us. So a total of 95 units, and then he became financially free. Right? So this is the power of multifamily syndications. The second myth is that you need lots of money to buy apartments. Most new investors, they try to save up money from their flips or their job or something, and then they buy a rental property or do the BRRRR method, or they apply for a HELOC against their home and then buy maybe a duplex or a quad. But you can only buy so many per year. And it's a very slow way to build wealth, right? And so the truth is, you don't need your own money to buy an apartment building. Yes, you need money, but it's not your own. You use other people's money, OPM, right? Robert Kiyosaki talks about this in his book. And learning to raise money is a game changer when scaling your portfolio, because your ability to buy more real estate is only limited by your ability to raise money. And once you learn how to raise money without having to beg your friends and family, you will discover that raising money is actually a lot easier than you think. And it's because people with money to invest, they have problems, maybe other problems than you might have, okay, but they have problems. They have money to invest. And typically the only place they invest in, or they can invest or know to invest in, is the stock market. But what's the problem with the stock market? There's 3 primary problems with the stock market. One is volatility, right? If you look at a long-term chart, well, the stock market always goes up. But if you dial in, there's little dips, right? So if I am trying to make some financial planning for sending my kids to college or buying a car or a house or retiring, right? If the market's down 15 or 20% and I now have to liquidate funds, that's not a good time to do it. So it makes it very difficult to do financial planning. Volatility. Plus, I got to watch it every day. It stresses me out. Number 2, there's really no meaningful cash flow unless you're doing very advanced option strategies. You're going to do that when you're investing millions of dollars. So there's really no cash flow. So I can't actually really exit anything that I'm doing right now. And I pay too many taxes. Every time my financial advisor sells something, I got to pay taxes on it. And when I realized I could help stock market investors solve their problems by introducing them to multifamily real estate, it changed everything, because raising capital became much easier because I realized that I'm actually providing value. I'm providing value. I'm providing them with opportunity. I'm helping them solve their problems. So you're not raising money at all. You're actually providing people a service. And so the question is, well, that's really cool, but how can I raise money without a track record? And this is a common misconception, that you need to build some kind of track record and start small to raise capital. But the truth is, you don't need to raise a track record. Dozens of students have raised $500,000 for their first deal, $600,000, and no one had raised money. I don't think there's a single person that has come into our program that has ever raised money before. Now they're raising $500,000, $800,000, right? So if you were, like, for example, work with us, you can learn how to raise capital in 30 days. In fact, it's a lot easier than you think. And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to reveal all these things on why I can say that. But trust me, right now, I'm going to tell you, you can learn how to raise money in 30 days. And here's the other thing. Most people think that, oh my gosh, how am I going to raise $500 or $1 million, right? The truth is, raising capital, again, doesn't mean you have to do it all yourself. You don't have to raise all the money yourself. You can actually partner with people with access to capital. We call them capital raisers, because it's very important that you understand that it's much easier than you think. And you don't have to raise all the money yourself, because there's people out there that actually prefer to raise money. Even if you're going to be focused more on finding deals and you're like, oh, how am I going to raise money? It's actually much easier once you know how to do it. And also there's a bunch of people out there that actually prefer raising money. Once you show them how the money raising is done, like, I got it from here. And it almost becomes natural to them. A couple examples here. Cody Davis, he got started in this business at 19 years old. He's a little older now, but even at this point, he looked like he was 12 years old. And by the time he was 21, he was making $5,000 per month, living, of course, with his parents. And the reason I'm giving you this example is he's 19 years old and he had no previous experience and not a rich uncle. So if 19-year-old Cody Davis can figure it out, you can probably figure it out. But he's not the only young person that I'm giving to the young people, just to show you this is not rocket science. Colin Marcotte, he was a 20-year-old. He was a pre-med student at UC Davis, and he learned how to raise capital and syndicated 2 deals while I was in college. It was a total of 119 units worth $5.5 million. And then no surprise, he dropped out of college to focus on real estate full time, right? So I mentioned these two examples. There's many others, but they both learned to raise money, never did it before, and they were young, right? So, but here I want to leave you with the 4 truths of scaling with real estate. Okay, here are the 4 things that is true about scaling. If you really want to scale real estate, right? Again, if you want to buy another rental or another STR, these truths don't apply. But if you really want to scale real estate like I'm talking about, then you can't scale with single family houses to become financially free. Scale is in your workbook, okay? This truth is one of the 10 points. So I want you to write this down. You can't scale with single family houses. You can try, and many people have, but you actually really can't. Number 2, apartments are the best way to do it. Second point here. Apartments are the best way to become financially free with real estate. They're the best way. There's other ways you can do it, but they're not as scalable. They're more work. They're less risky. It's the best way. I think it's the fastest way. It's the least risky. It's the most fun. And you don't need to invest in single family houses first. Okay, you don't need 5 or 10 years and do flips or rentals and then graduate to apartments. It's unnecessary. If you want to do it, that's fine, but it's not necessary. And then you don't need your own money to buy apartments because you are going to learn, and you can learn how to raise capital or partner with others in about 30 days. Okay, now you've seen the actual truth. You don't need to wait 5 to 10 years investing in single family houses. You don't need to save up your money or use a HELOC. You don't even need the experience. What you do need is the right mindset and the right team behind you. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into next into this further training, because in this next video and series of videos, I'm going to walk you through what I call the scaling mindset and show you exactly how to reverse engineer your freedom number so you can see with real numbers how close you actually are, what needs to be done, and how long it's going to take. Now, if you're already thinking, shoot, I want to do this right now, but I don't want to do it alone, we've helped hundreds of people make their first deal happen faster and with fewer mistakes. So if that's you right now, feel free to book a strategy call with our team to explore working with us to help you do your first deal. All right, let's get into the next video here. We're going to start here in part 2 of this training.